Welcome to Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. So glad that you decided to tune in and check out all the prospect action for the Dodgers. Who you're seeing right here is James Tibs III with the AAA Oklahoma City Comets. You also see, I believe that is Eliezer Hernandez, one of the catchers who's having a really good year for the Dodgers. Also, and then you saw Noah Miller. We're going to cover both of those guys today. So who we're going to cover? We've got a whole ton of players to cover. I have not had it down the farm in a while, so get some popcorn. Sit down, get ready, get comfortable, because we got a lot of babies to talk about, and I'm pretty pumped about it. So, and no better person to start this show off with than one Mr. James Tibs III, who we know. Tibs, he came over last year for Dustin May, him and Zach Earhart. That's Earhart there in the back left, by the way. Those two guys both came over from the Red Sox for Dustin May. What an incredible trade, considering Dustin May was going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and the Dodgers weren't going to sign him anyways, of which the Red Sox didn't. And Dustin May now is with the St. Louis Cardinals. So the Red Sox got absolutely nothing out of May. He barely pitched for them, and then they didn't really do anything at all. And so they lost Dustin May and then also lost James Tibs III and Zach Earhart. So 38 games, 296. I'm not going to get into the all of the ridiculous statistics. There's going to be so many players that it would just make your head swim. What you need to know about James Tibs is that he's making really hard contact, and what I like about him is that when things aren't perfect and he just has to kind of keep the hands back and throw the hands, get the barrel of the ball by throwing that kind of what we call throwing the hands at it. I know that's probably a term that makes some people cringe, but that's just kind of a term that we use. He's so good at being a bad timing hitter because he's so strong. Like right there, you just saw in BP. So that ability to be able to not have to have perfect timing, but also still be able to impact the baseball is really impressive to me for James Tibs. And then also, he got off to the just ridiculously smoking start. And then he went on a really, really, really cold streak, and he bounced right back. And so I really like it when guys bounce right back. And I think, hey, the hot start, everybody gets to, especially somebody as talented as James Tibs III. They're all going to get hot at some point. That's not what's impressive to me. What's impressive was the bounce back. And I'll tell you another guy that has been very impressive. That's Jack Suwinsky. Remember, 2023 at the major league level, he had a really good year, 26 home runs, a WRC plus of 112. So he's shown, there's Michael Ciani too. I just released those two interviews last week, that Jack Suwinsky, just as recently as 2023, has been a 12% above league average offensive player with very good power. Okay, last year obviously was not good at all at the major league level, just a 55 WRC plus. So last year, not a good at all good for Jack Suwinsky. He struck out too much. But this year so far, he's hitting over 300. He has 9 home runs, and the strikeout rate is right at 25%. So, that's kind of that James Outman barrier where we're like, if he could just get it down to 25% without sacrificing any other area of his game, James Outman would have been a really good offensive player. James obviously could never do that. Jack Suwinsky so far has. He has kept his power while not sacrificing. He's kept his power while also reducing the strikeout rate down to 25%. Now, am I sitting here trying to tell you that a 25% strikeout rate is great or anything? No. But it's a great trade-off to what Suwinsky is doing so far this year, and it is a big-time improvement for him. Not improvement for Ryan Ward. Well, actually, believe it or not, Ryan Ward, who you're seeing there on the left doing his infield, actually on the right over there doing his infield drills, he had a historic 2025, and in some measures, he's actually more efficient in 2026 than he was last year. He's hitting almost 289. OPS is over 900 in 34 games. Remember, he hit 36 home runs, drove in 122 last year. But here is the completeness to where he may be a little bit better this year for an overall perspective as a hitter. Walk rate's gone all the way up to 15.7%. Strikeout rate for Ryan Ward down to 16%. 16%. That's almost 3% lower than it was last year. So for however good Ryan Ward was last year, which was historic in a lot of ways, he is, I don't want to say more explosive, but he is more complete. So Ryan Ward's really showing you on the heels of the great year he had last year just how good he is. And then Noah Miller doing a good job. Always said about Noah Miller, if he can just be a league average offensive player, that his glove is so good that makes him have a huge impact. And then also he needs to improve the quality of contact. So he's done both of those things. He's been a little bit above league average as an offensive player. So he's doing a good job. Posted about a 51 WRC plus last year with his time in AAA Oklahoma City. So it's good to see him raise his production up to being about a league average player so far this year. 267 batting average, 17% strikeout rate, and so he's at right at a 98 WRC plus. So that's a good number. Now Noah Miller, I'm telling you, I've talked to him several times. He'll tell you, screw that. I'm a way better player than a league average offensive player, and I'll show you, right? So, hey, if he's capable of more, no doubt. I think you would expect more of himself, but at the very bottom of his floor, if he can stay at the floor level, a league average offensive player, his defense is good enough to really steal the show, and he becomes a really, really, really good prospect. So we had a question on our Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network show earlier today. Who are the relievers at the AAA level that might be able to help at the major league level? And I kind of stumbled around because, you know, they optioned Eater and they brought up Paul Gervais and Wyatt Mills. And so I was like, well, beyond that, you know, I'll have to do some checking. Well, duh. I mean, Garrett McDaniels is a guy I've been covering for a long time. I love this guy. Remember, he was at AA Tulsa after the 2024 season, was really electric, got taken by the Angels in the Rule 5 draft, made his major league debut last year with the Angels. He actually got sent back by the Angels, and he came back with the Dodgers about midway through last year. Went back to some of his throw mechanics. It really helped him out. And Garrett McDaniels, while definitely the control and command piece has not, honestly, it hasn't been all that good this year because his sinker and slider mix is so hard to hit. He's been very productive from the results perspective. Just a 2.30 ERA and 15.2 innings. So here is number one for me out of all the bullpen arms that AAA Oklahoma City has. If you were to ask me, who would the next guy be if I had to bring somebody up tomorrow? This would be the guy. Garrett McDaniels, a really good lefty, already has major league experience. And Kenyon Middleton would be another guy, but Garrett McDaniels would be the guy for me out of who they have left. So stay tuned on that front. There may be more coming on that in terms of who else might be available or might be some options there. So my guy would be Garrett McDaniel. So let's talk a little bit at the AA level. Let's talk some Josue DePaula. Okay, 20 years old. He's struggling right now. We talked about that today. When I say struggling, I mean it's like a 2-game struggle. I'm curious to see how he comes out of that. AA is a tough league, but so far, very, very good start. The plate discipline has showed up at the AA level. It's shown to be very productive for him, and it's shown to make him a very good baseball player. And also, he's starting to show more and more power upside to this point as well. You know, Fangraphs has him as a 70 grade raw power, and that's because he hits the ball so hard. He needs to lift the ball a little bit more to realize that in games, but he does hit the ball very, very hard. So 844 OPS for him suggests that it's a when he starts hitting home runs and not an if. And how about the strikeout rate of just 15% and a walk rate of 16%. So again, the elite plate discipline for Josue DePaula is absolutely showing up at the AA level. And then, you know, two guys that are kind of lumped together, and rightfully so because they're outfielders and they're very, very, very high prospects. That is Zaire Hope. We're going to move to him next. Zaire Hope is also off to a good start for Double-A Tulsa here in 2026. 32 games, he's hitting 282, an OPS that is right around 800. He, too, is showing a little bit more game power. 177 ISO so far, 6 home runs. So the power is starting to show up in terms of the ball leaving the yard more at a higher rate for Zaire Hope this year. Still some swing and miss concerns. Not going to sugarcoat you on that. Strikeout rates around 23%, but that's down. That's down for Zaire Hope. So while you say, well, 23%, that's not perfect, it is getting better. So Zaire Hope is starting to hit the ball out of the yard more often at a higher clip, while also striking out less. So those are all great signs for Zaire Hope at the Double-A level with Double-A Tulsa. And another guy that you really need to know about, I've been telling you, he's one of the most complete players in the entire system. This is Elijah Hainline. I love Elijah Hainline. He doesn't do any one thing. Like, he doesn't have that one carrying tool that you go, wow, like Kendall George's speed or a Josue DePaula's plate discipline or Zaire Hope's ability to impact the baseball. He doesn't have that one carrying tool, but Elijah Hainline just is one of the most complete players that you will ever see at a minor league level. I'm telling you, this guy is so good. He's confident. He knows how to play the game. Got off to a really slow start and has really picked it up. So he's back up to 253. OPS is now over 800. And for the start that he had, that's really, really good. 200 ISO so far with Double-A Tulsa. Strikeout rate is almost 28%, but his ISO also is up there too at a pretty high clip at 200. So the ISO and the strikeout rate, while the strikeout rate is way too elevated, not too elevated, way too elevated for Elijah Hainline. He would tell you that at 28%. That his ISO also is good, which at least he's matching that with some power numbers. So yes, the strikeout rate needs to come down, but again, at least he's compensating that for that, at least in the power numbers, at least to an extent. So Elijah Hainline, really like him. I think he's going to just continue to get better in terms of the type of season he has. Again, I got off to a slow start and has really rebounded well. I'll tell you about a guy that did not get off to a slow start, Kendall George. How about the season he's off to? 328 so far, and his slash line is over 800, 18 stolen bases after the 100 stolen bases last year. A WRC plus for Kendall George of 127. So, this is a guy, Kendall George, on base percentage over 400, well over 400. 17% strikeout rate. I'd like to see that come down to 11 or 12%. I think he's capable of that. And I think he could hit 350, 360 if he got a strikeout rate down to 11 or 12%. But he's hitting almost 70% ground balls. That's huge because you want to know, hey, you say, well, why is his speed and all this for Kendall George, why is it translating so well right now at the Double-A level? That's because he's doing that right there. He's hitting ground balls, 70% ground ball rate. And when you can run to first base, I've timed him digitally at 3.5. When you can run a 3.5 to first base, hit the ball on the ground and run. That's a great approach to have, and he has done that. That just goes to show you how he has built his game around speed and how well that has actually worked. That game plan has worked for Kendall George. Talk about having a game plan. Let's move to the pitching side for the Double-A Tulsa Drillers. Luke Fox. Been telling you about him and Wyatt Correll for a while now. Told you about Justin Robleski forever, right? Told you about Ben Kasparius. Told you about all these guys that aren't necessarily the top prospects. They aren't the guys you hear about all the time. Luke Fox is good. Put him in your Rolodex. 2.29 ERA, 2.94 fielding independent pitching, 19.2 innings, and he is striking out opponent hitters at a 32.4% clip. Wow. How about that? Big time swing and miss ability. Very impressive. 23 strikeouts to just 5 walks for Luke Fox. That is great control combined with great stuff. And I'll tell you another guy we've been telling you about You've been brought into the ground floor on Luke Fox, Wyatt Crowell, and then also Cam Day. We've been telling you about Cam Day for a long time. How about opponents hitting a measly 193 against Cam Day? ERA of 172 for Cam Day in 13 appearances. That's 15.2 innings. Still needs to perfect the command, no doubt about that. 11.3% walk rate. He's given up 7 walks in 15.2 innings. Not going to blow smoke and say that's good, but that just goes to show how explosive his stuff is, because despite the fact that he's walking people at that clip, he still has an ERA of just 172, and that's because hitters are hitting just 193 against him. And his stuff's so explosive that he just generates weak contact and swing and miss very, very, very well. So another guy you brought in so this Cam Day you're looking at here, undrafted free agent, Miles Caba, undrafted free agent. We've covered him many different times. You got in on the ground floor on him. Another guy you've been on the ground floor of as well that we're going to cover next, staying with Double-A Tulsa, and that is one Mr. Lucas Webb, who throws the splinker, the split finger and the split finger fastball slash sinker. They put those two together. You call that a splinker. Lucas Webb is must-see TV when he gets the ball in high leverage moments. 2.12 ERA. Look at that. Knees and elbows, a lot of ass and elbows, whatever you want to call it. Really uncomfortable, especially for right-handed hitters. 2.12 ERA, 27 strikeouts in 17 innings. 42.9 strikeout rate for Lucas Webb. 14.29 strikeouts per 9 innings. All that alphabet soup to say Lucas Webb strikes out a lot of hitters, and the whip 0.76. So the walk rate is way down. Now it's 318 per 9 innings. Hey, very acceptable for a guy like Lucas Webb with the stuff that he has. That's kind of like that. Well, we don't necessarily like the 20% strikeout rate, but it's very acceptable considering that they hit a lot of home runs. Well, that is Lucas Webb, considering that he's so hard to hit and he strikes out so many hitters. That walk rate of 3, a little over 3 per 9 innings, very, very, very acceptable. So Lucas Webb has been must-see TV so far in the Dodgers system, and he has been very good. And I'll tell you another must-see TV, no doubt about it, Mike Sirota. This dude is just a complete and total badass. He is too good for the high A level. There's no doubt about that. 330 batting average. 1139 OPS. An 1139 OPS for Mike Sirota through 30 games. And the approach is just advanced. 29 walks to 30 strikeouts. So, he's hitting well over 300. OPS 1139. He's hitting home runs, and he is walking right at exactly the same amount that he is striking out. That tells you right there that he's just better than high A pitchers. He's not hot. Yes, he is hot, but he's not just hot. He's just that good. So Mike Sirota, I think, again, you have a huge log jam, but he is more advanced than high A. I think he's ready for promotion. I just don't know where that would be considering the log jam. But Mike Sirota off to a great start. And I'll tell you another young man who is a really big prospect, and that's switch hitting Logan Wagner. Logan Wagner was hurt a couple of years ago. Really been fighting through all that. Had some periods here and there last year where he showed a lot of potential. This year he's putting it together. Logan Wagner, 307, OPS well over 900, 7 home runs so far for Wagner, 21 RBIs in just 29 games. He has already, Logan Wagner, 18 extra base hits and a 588 slugging percentage. And his 940 OPS is among the tops in all the Midwest leagues. So Logan Wagner is a big-time prospect, and he is living up to that. And continuing on the theme of big-time prospects, no doubt about it, as we get to our next young man here, Charles Davalan might have, him and Mike Sirota, those two might have the two best hit tools in the entire organization. And yes, that includes Josue DePaula, very similar. I just love the way these guys hit. I love the way that they use the big part of the field. I love the way they go opposite field. I love the way that they're just line drive focused. Probably, in my opinion, the biggest steal of the 2025 class. 291 average, 20 RBIs, 8 steals. That's kind of an underrated part of Charles Davalan's game. 18 walks, 18 strikeouts. There's 3 guys right there. Josue DePaula, and Mike Sirota, Charles Davalan, that are hitting very well. They're showing power, but yet walking the same amount as they're striking out. Those are 3 pretty incredible profiles to have in the anywhere from your lower upper levels of your minors to your upper lower levels of your minors, if that minor leagues, if that made any sense. So producing in big spots, he's hitting 359 as a leadoff hitter, so he's done good in the leadoff spots. So nothing not to like about Charles Davalan. And hey, here's a guy that you probably don't know. You won't know unless you follow Dodgers Daily, because we're probably about the only ones that actually have talked about him. And I know Showtime brought him up today. How about Nico Perez? Nico Perez, 339 OPS of 1038, 6 home runs for Nico Perez, 15 stolen bases through 31 games. Let me go through that again for Nico Perez. 339, 438, 600. So 339 batting average, OPS of 1038, 6 home runs, 28 RBIs. Dude does a great job of hitting the ball where it's pitched. Massive growth offensively for Nico Perez. 17 extra base hits. So, I mean, it's not like he's just duck farting the ball out there. He's hitting the ball hard. He's cut down massively on his swing and miss. Just 27 strikeouts. He's drawn 16 walks. So not as good as Sirota, Davalan, or Josue DePaula, but still very good there. And he has been scorching hot as of late. He's homered 4 times so far in May, including a game last week where he had a grand slam and then follow that up with a home run later in the game. So let's move to the pitching side for the Great Lakes Loons. And as we like to do, we cover a young man who might be the best pitching prospect in the entire organization. The command has always stole the show for him, Christian Zazueta. The stuff has caught up. He's throwing it. He's touched 98 on several occasions this year. He struck out 43 hitters so far in 28 innings. That's 13.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. For a starter, okay? Opponents are hitting just 216 against Christian Zazueta. I get it. His ERA is 4.50, but his stuff has been much more electric than that. His underlying metrics will say that there's a mismatch there and that it will correct itself as the season goes on, and his ERA will get into the 2s, which is how he's pitched. The way he's pitched, he should have a 250, 260 ERA, something like that at this point. So definitely keep your eye out for Christian Zazueta. And then another young man, another undrafted free agent that's kind of been the theme of the day of all these guys who have done very well. Logan Tabling, tabletop. How about this? Young man out of the University of Illinois. 2.22 ERA in his first 6 appearances, actually. I don't think they've all been starts. He struck out 32 in 24.1 innings. He's given up a batting average against of just 178, 11.8 strikeouts per 9 for Logan Tabling. So the swing and miss has always been there for Logan Tabling. It's just been about the controlling the command. Much more improved control this year. Walk rate was 589 per 9 innings last year. It's down to 370 this year. Again, is that great? No, but it's much, much better for Logan Tabling. And when you combine it with what he's able to do in terms of the swing and miss that he presents, that's pretty darn good for him. And that's hey, you want to bring that down just a little bit, but at this point, it's been good enough to get single A hitters out. And so for that, very impressed with Logan Tabling, no doubt about that. Another young man that has been super, super impressive so far in 2026, Davis Chastain at the back of the bullpen for the Great Lakes Loons. Look at that bomb that he can drop with his curveball. How about a 180 ERA in the back of your bullpen in 10 appearances? He struck out 22 in 15 innings, and he has just absolutely not been hit whatsoever. 185 batting average against, a 1-0 straight up whip, 13.2 strikeouts per inning. There's nothing not to like about Davis Chastain. I've seen him many times at Georgia last year, and this dude is just doing what he's always done. 14th round draft pick. He is a way better pitcher than a 14th round draft pick. And so far in his career, overall, a 2.01 ERA, 31 strikeouts, and again, just very, very, very difficult to hit. No doubt about that. Now, let's move down to the single A level and the Ontario Tower Buzzers, and let's start with one of the biggest prospects in the Dodgers system. That would be Ching-Shin Ko. Ching-Shin Ko is off to a great start, okay? 284 batting average. OPS is approaching 1,000. 6 home runs for Ching-Shin Ko, 20 RBIs through 22 games. OPS actually is 966. The thing that I really like about Ko is that, he's got a big body. He's got the power. He likes to stay inside the ball. He can hit the ball the other way. And I think that's tied into the plate discipline because he's seeing the ball deeper, right? And because of all of that, he's drawing 14 walks. You see the ball deeper, you walk more, you swing at better pitches, you hit the ball the other way, you have a higher batting average, you walk more and strike out less. It's all tied together. That's why Ko is doing so much better this year. Not so much better. He was really good at the complex, but that's why he's off to a good start. Overall, throughout his entire career, 300 batting average between the single A level and the complex, and a 430 on base percentage. So great job, Ching-Shin Ko. He is off to a great start for the single A Ontario Tower Buzzers. And another young man who is off to a great start as well, Emil Morales. Big time. Emil Morales is acting like a big time prospect at just 19 years old. His last line is 328, 397, 557. Emil Morales has 20 extra base hits and a 954 OPS, 14 doubles on the season, 28 RBIs. Uses the entire field. See there? He is great at using the entire field and is doing a really nice job for single A Rancho Cucamonga. And another guy, I did not realize Chase Harlan was so good at drawing walks. Let's get to our next guy here. Chase Harlan. I think you'll be shocked here that Chase Harlan, because, he was the second draft pick behind Kellen Lindsey in 2024. We think of him as a big third baseman dude that's going to hit a lot of home runs. So you assume he's just going to be a boomer bust guy. Well, how about this for Chase Harlan? 26 walks to just 23 strikeouts. So another one of your biggest prospects. That's the fourth one we've covered today. That is a big-time prospect on your prospect list that is walking more than they strike out. In this case, this is one of your big sluggers, right? Okay, 891 OPS in 27 games. So he's making great swing decisions, and that's because he uses the opposite field very well. A tremendous amount of upside on the power level, but I think the walks to strikeout goes to show you that Chase Harlan is way more than just a power guy. He is a great hitter first type of approach, and so I wanted to make sure you understood that about Chase Harlan and the great start. Kind of understood some of the context to the great start that he is off to here in 2026. And another guy that has electric stuff. I mean electric stuff. Brady Smith, the right-hander out of Tennessee, East Tennessee. You can tell if you talk to him. He's got that accent. The ERA doesn't look incredible, but the strikeout rates do. Brady Smith's stuff is electric. So he's just 21 years old, 35 strikeouts in 19 innings. Brady Smith at 21 is averaging a 16.6 strikeout per 9 inning rate at this moment. Again, kind of like Zazueta, the ERA's 4.74, which isn't totally impressive, but the swing and miss ability is very explosive, and hitters are hitting just 199 against Brady Smith this year, and he's given up just 1 home run. So I think the underlying metrics would suggest that the ERA for Brady Smith is going to come down, and probably by a substantial margin. I told you that you needed some popcorn. You need to get comfortable because we had a lot of guys to cover. Haven't done one of these in a while. And so we got a couple guys left. I want to get to my man out of the University of Oregon, Isaac Aoun. Isaac Aoun, ERA of 3.63, 25 strikeouts, Aoun actually, and 22.1 innings. Done a really, really good job. Long, tall drink of water. Reminds you of Patrick Copen. 66 strikeouts since he's entered pro ball. This is a young man with lots of mix, fastball, curveball, change, slider, that kind of thing. Long, tall, good extension. There you see the change up there. He's very advanced in his sequencing, good execution, off to a very good start. Isaac Aoun. So I want to draw your attention to him. And then another really big prospect in the Dodgers system who's off to a good start as well that I think Dodgers fans will be very happy about is Youngsek Jang. Youngsek Jang is really starting to put things together for Single A Ontario. The ERA is 3.43, 21 strikeouts and 21 innings. That's not the calling card for him though. To this point, it's the improved command and the improved control because we've always known the arm talent was there. He walked 32 batters in 40 innings last year. That was the problem. So far this year, just 7 walks for Youngsek Jang in 21 innings. And so it's the improved command and control for Youngsek Jang that has stole the show for him. And that's why his start to this season is so exciting for me. And the last guy we're going to cover here, last but definitely not least, is the Thunderbolt right arm out of Florida State University. This is Cam Leiter. He is definitely showing why the Dodgers took him in the second round last summer. Just 22, 3.38 ERA, 18 strikeouts in 10.2 innings. So Cam Leiter is racking up almost 2 strikeouts per inning. Lots of power, big-time power arm, good slider, good change, good curveball there. And he's held opponents to just a 580 OPS. The swing and miss stuff has definitely translated from college to pro. 15.2 strikeouts per 9 innings to just a 4.5 strikeout per walk ratio, which means you have 4.5 strikeouts to every 1 walk. That's fantastic. So Cam Leiter, after coming off the injury, is having a very, very, very good start to 2026. And that's going to do it for Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. I want to thank you for tuning in. And as always, remind you, it's a great day to be a Dodger.